Welcome back. My name is Paul Fritz and I am going to show you how to make a run cycle. This is video number 2. Today we're going to block in our rough animation. So we're going to do 1, 13, and then we'll put in 7 and set it so that we flip the arms and legs so that we actually start our initial run cycle. Alright, so here we have Sophie. I went back to Sophie. I was trying to use a different character as you saw in the other video. But I had some issues with the clavicle and the shoulder. It was more inside the arm area here, kind of inside where the shoulder actually should be. And every time we brought it down, it was not really looking all that good. So we're going to go ahead and go back with Sophie and just go ahead and move forward from here. Okay, so a couple things we want to do. First, I saved this as a different name, telling it what it is. This is my run cycle. I did not want to mess up my initial setup, my T-pose, in case we need to go back to it. The other thing I want to do first is I'm going to select the knee pull here, pull vectors, and I'm going to pull them forward so that they're not in the way, so that if I rotate the foot, and I'll show you what happens if I do this, if I grab this foot here and I pull it up past that vector, it flips her knee around. We don't want that to happen, obviously. So by putting these pull vectors out far enough in front, we're not going to worry about doing that at this point. Now, if we lift the leg way up above this line, we would have to reposition our pull vector because it would turn the knee down still. But we're okay with this for the run cycle. Okay, now what I'm going to do is make sure I'm in frame 1. Make sure that I have my character set turned on if you had set up a character set as I showed you in the previous video. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. Oh, Sophie all. Okay, and I may have already made one, but that's okay. So as I can see here, they're all highlighted, so we should be good. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is start positioning the arms and the legs. I'm going to start with the legs first. Go ahead and select the outer foot, and this right leg is the one that's on the up right now. And then I'm going to go ahead and rotate it out, rotate it into position. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the front foot. This is kind of why I like using reference images to begin with. Start off with the reference images or even using reference videos and kind of blocking it in to look like the shape of the character that you're using as a reference. Just kind of get it close. It may not be identical, but it could be close enough. And then after that, going back in and fine-tuning everything and using our graph editor and some of the other tools in Maya to help us kind of smooth out our run. Okay, now I'm going to pull this knee out just a little bit like this, kind of line it up a little better. That's kind of way out there, but we'll see what happens. See what happens there. We can always come back and fix that. Kind of rotate that knee in a little. All right, turn my graph on for a second here just to see how everything's kind of shaping up. Okay, maybe push the foot back out just a little bit. Just don't want to cross this line right here, and it looks like that's kind of what I'm doing. So I'm just going to get it close. Maybe put the foot like that. All right, so it's not going to line up perfectly with my background image, and I'm not going to try to do that. I'm just going to use it as a rough reference. Okay, so now I've got the initial foot position set up. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the arms. I'm going to put them down initially and rotate them down a little bit, and then I'm going to come in before I go all the way down, and I'm going to then adjust the clavicle a little bit, give it a little bit more of a slope downward in the shoulder so it's not quite so stiff and up. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same over here. Now what I can do is, if I like one side or the other, which this one seems to be pretty good, I can come in here and take a look at the numbers I have for my clavicle, and I can copy those over to the other clavicle. So once I get this set up, I can go ahead and come back and do that. And I'm going to come over here, go to my perspective view, and take a look at kind of how the clavicle is beginning to look. I think 9 is pretty good. Maybe you just put that number in there. And I'm not sure about the rest of the rotation. Zero this back out. Yeah, that brought it a little bit more forward. Kind of like that. It's hard to tell. She's wearing a sweatshirt, but I want it to not be so up and boxy looking. Okay, and since I'm just changing the one rotation, I'm going to click on the other one over here. I'm going to zero those out also. And put this at 9. And just drop everything down. Okay. That's a good start, I think. Now let me go ahead and bring this arm the rest of the way down. It doesn't have to come to the point where it's making contact, because after all, she's running. There's going to be some room between her side and her arms. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate up and in a little bit, and up and down a little bit. And looks like I must have been playing around with her fingers earlier. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and come in and fix those next. Okay, going to switch this back to the side real quick and just kind of see what we're working with. I don't think I have this shoulder back where it's supposed to be. And I'm going to go ahead and adjust this a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and fix the hands. And it's a little bit easier to do that in the perspective view. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Since I've already got this one kind of started, let's go ahead and see what we're working with here. All right, so it looks like those are all supposed to be 6.8. Let's go back to the same. And I come in here, and one of the things I can do is I can select these by left clicking on the top one and dragging down. And actually what I want to do is I'll work with the spread. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these in just a little bit. And then I'm going to have to come in and fix the individual fingers. The rotation here kind of rotates out when those joints come in a little bit. And I'm going to start down here. Curl this over this way. And that's not really what I wanted to do. What I want to do is right here at these joints, rotate these in a little bit so the finger doesn't look like it's facing out the wrong way. Do the same for this one over here. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and select the thumb. So I'm going to grab that triangle back again, select the thumb, and I'm going to pull that down a little bit. And start up here, bring the thumb up a little bit, and then select it here, and rotate it just a little bit, make it a little bit more natural looking. Needs to go in a little bit more too. All right, somewhat of a fist. So now what I can do is take these numbers that were here on this triangle, so 6.8 and the negative 1.9. So I can just go ahead and select these, 6.8, and that curls the fingers in, and this was negative 1.9. Now, I could also go in and I could copy the exact things I did to the hand over there, or I can just fix this real quick. Also fix this thumb up a little bit. And need a slight curl. This way. Then fix these. Okay, good enough. We're not going to spend too much time on the hands, but we've got our basic arm and legs locked in. So let's go ahead and adjust the hip and the waist a little bit. So now this is, again, if I go back to orthographic view side, you can see that this is the contact almost, which is close to the neutral position for down. So the body is going to have a slight twist here, but not a neutral twist and not a significant twist yet. So what that looks like is this leg is forward. So I'm going to grab the hip right here and I'm going to rotate this forward just a little bit. And so it should be a negative. So we're twisting it this way out onto this foot here as this leg starts to come forward, or as it is forward. And I am going to make this a -3, I think. And then for this top here, I'm going to rotate it in the opposite direction, because here's the arm coming in. So I'm going to rotate it in the direction that the arm is moving. And I want to put this out to about a 6. Okay, so I've got basically all of that set up. Now I also need to lean her forward some, so I'm going to do that at this portion of the body down here in the hips. Move her forward, kind of match her up with what's in the background. Maybe give her about the same or a little bit more of a twist. And then also the head, she needs to come up because she needs to see where she's going. So we're going to go ahead and raise her head up so we can see her face. And that's pretty good right there. I'm going to go ahead and set that. So with the Sophie all selected, and here on my first frame, I'm going to hit S on the keyboard, and there you can see that it's set. I'm going to go down to frame 13, hit S again, and then frame 7, S one more time. Now what I need to do is in frame 7, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my reference image here. Helps to grab the right one. Let's try that again. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of move it over a little bit. You can hold Shift and push down on the middle mouse button. Once you start to move something, you selected it, and kind of rotate it, slide it where you want to go. You can move it up and down as well. So I'm going to get it close to where we're at. And actually, I need to go all the way down to 7. I don't know what I'm thinking. Getting ahead of myself there. So let's go ahead. And we don't really need to do this because we know that these arms and these legs are going to be swapped into those positions. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to copy this leg to this leg and this leg to that leg, and then also do the reciprocals for the arms. So the way that works is I'm going to come down here. I'm going to turn off my all. I'm going to go to none. Have no character set. And now I'm going to, at frame 7, I'm going to select the foot. I'm going to come back down here, right click, copy, come back up here, right click again, and paste, and paste. And now they're both down there. Now I'm going to go here to frame 1, and I'm going to copy this one. And I'm going to put it on the foot that is opposite down here. So I need to select it, come back to frame 7, and I'm going to paste it. Voila, the feet are done. Looks like I got a little bit of a foot rotation there, and that's because when I did that, you'll see that basically the knee, the whole foot is kind of out of whack there right here. And that's because of the reciprocals that we need to change up in here for the rotation, or the translation rather in this case. So this would be translate x. So that's -7 there. We need to make that a +7 because we went in the positive direction on this side. And typically we need to change this one down here as well to a positive direction. It's awfully far out. It should be, see how this foot is closer in here? And if I went to frame 7 on this one, let's go ahead and do that. This time I can select it over here. And I'm going to go ahead and slide that over, frame 7. You can kind of see what I'm talking about here. Okay, and let me turn off the graph. And you can see that we're way out. We're not terribly, but we are a little bit. And then I also have this foot rotation I have to deal with. And what's happening is that with this, I'll turn this back on, you can see the graph right here. So my X and Y and Z coordinates. So right here is 0, 0, 0. Anything on this side, if I put it in there, would be a positive number. And if I put a negative number on this side, it's going to go in the wrong direction. So I need this to go positive. So negative would have been this way if for moving back towards 0. And then this one would be positive to move back towards 0. So that's what I need to do, is change this one for that foot to a positive and pop it back over. And then I also have some rotation, negative rotations I need to fix as well. And that's what is happening here. So I'm going to change the -y to positive and kind of rotate that foot back a little bit. And it may not quite be enough. I may also need to get a little bit more of a rotation X. I'm not sure 24 though. Let's see here. Maybe rotation Z. We're going to go with rotation Z. I don't believe it's 24 degrees. No, looks like it probably is. Okay. Wasn't thinking that one through. So Y, X's are up and down in this case, so I don't want to change the up and down. So at this point, let me see how this looks between the two. So this one has got a slight point outwards. This one's got a slight point outwards. I think that's probably where I want it. The other thing I need to do is I need to fix this foot back here. Again, this would be in the Y coordinate, and it should be -10 to kind of rotate it back outward. All right. I think we're okay so far. So now let's go ahead and work on the arms. And then I'll wrap up this video. So the next thing we're going to do is a similar process, except we're going to swap the arms around. Okay, start with the left side. I like to start with the left side. You can start with whatever side. You just got to keep track and have a system. Okay, so right here, I'm going to copy this one. Copy. Go to the other shoulder. And I'm going to paste it. Okay. And we also are going to have to deal with the negative and positives as well. So we take a look here on frame 1. Okay, and frame 7. So frame 1, frame 7. This arm at frame 7 is more downward. That's because I haven't done the elbow yet. So let's go ahead and select the elbow. And I'm going to go ahead and copy the elbow from this side. The left side. Copy it to the right side. And paste it. Okay, so now looks very painful. Arm is definitely not facing the right direction. Let's go ahead and fix that negative there. And change this to a -50. Okay, and now we've got this rotation upward. So I need to fix this arm here at the shoulder. So this would be the rotation Z. Maybe not. So rotation X should be negative. All right. Let me pause this for a second. Okay, sorry about that. Had a brief moment. I don't know what was happening, but So here are the original numbers. Y is a positive and Z is a negative. And what we need to do is we just need to just swap them. So negative and positive. So Y became negative and Z became positive. And that put our arm down into the place that we wanted it to go. Not sure why I was having the issues I was, but I was at that point. And then we did the same thing for the elbow. Negative, so Y went to negative, Z. So here negative and positive, and here we went positive and negative for the Y and the Z. All right, so now we got that arm done. We need to do this arm over here. So I'm going to select that arm, go back to frame 1, and this is where I'm going to get that position from for frame 1. I'm going to go ahead and copy it. So come down here in the timeline, copy it, go to frame 7, opposite arm, and now I'm going to paste it. Okay, then we're going to go back to frame 1, select the elbow, copy it, go back to frame 7, opposite elbow, and paste it. And now we need to go ahead and swap our Y and Z over here on this arm. All right, so this one first should be positive and negative. Negative right there. And then go to the elbow. And 0 is going to stay 0. I'm going to change this to positive. And now we should have our arms and our legs swapped. So if I hit play, get that out of the way there, hit play, we should have some motion between our arms and legs. Not much of a run yet. Now the last thing we need to do is we need to come in here and we need to do the same thing for the hip control and for the control at the waist. Okay, so this one right here for the Y is going to be a -6. And then this one right down here at her hips for the Y is going to be a positive number. And now we should have a little bit of movement also in her upper body at the hips and at her waist. All right, so that's it for this tutorial, and we should be all set for our next one. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you in video 3. Thank you.